classrooms right now. It's kind of fun for students to see a virtual classroom and to interact with it. There's lots of teachers making these. There's teachers making Here's Me at Home, which works as well. But the cool thing about this, it's not just a picture. It's not just something that's stagnant. It's something that the student can interact with. So here's mine, and if you click on me, it actually takes you to my YouTube channel. For my students, if you click on Good Morning Class, it will show you my video, which I will update each week to talk them through what they're working on that week. Here's just some surveys talking about some things that the students need. So the links are there for them if they need them. If they click on the computer, this takes them to the website we're actually using for instruction right now. I have, if you click on the inspirational poster, it's a meditation video. If you click on the items on the bookshelf, this is an audiobook. This takes them to vocabulary, which I use for some extra credit assignments, News ELA, and this is frequently asked questions. So this is really, really cool to be able to use, to interact with. Students like things like this where they can interact, and you can change it, which is very nice as well. So let me show you how you can get started. So to do this, the first thing we need to do is add slide and add a blank slide. Nothing's there yet. And we need to add a background. So we could either right click, change background, or we could just click right up here, either way. And we're going to choose an image. So we're going to Google search this image, and we're going to search for wall and floor. And there's many options here. You can see this is the one I already have. I'm going to pick a different one for this new space. Insert. Okay, and now I have a new background. This one already has a plant, which you might like, or you might want to pick something else. And now we need to populate the space. So you can start with whatever you'd like to start with to create your space. As a teacher, I want to start with my whiteboard just because it takes up so much space and it is so important. But you can start with whatever you want. You're going to go to Insert, Image, search the web. And the important thing to look for when you're searching for anything that is an image is it needs to be transparent. So this is so that when you're putting it onto the space, it's not going to have any white edges or any background portions to it. So transparent whiteboard, and you can click on any of these that you would prefer. I'm going to select this one. Okay, and yeah, and as you can see, there's nothing around the edges. It just kind of fits into the image really well, and you can size that however you'd like. And we're going to continue. So what else do I want in a classroom? Probably that bookshelf, because you can have the different links on your bookshelf there. So since it's already over here to the right, I can just type in bookshelf, transparent, and there's many options there for you that you can choose from. Okay, so I resized that, and that fits in my space. So when we're looking at how to create these links now, especially with these books, the easy way that I've done this is I will just look up, well, what kind of book do I want? Maybe I'm doing an audio book for my class. And I'm going to do an audiobook for The Giver. So I'm going to just search The Giver book and find this image here, and obviously this is way too large, so I'm going to shrink this to book size for my bookshelf. Okay, so that's good. So now I need to find the link for my audiobook. So we're only going to do chapter 1 of The Giver for this week for my classroom. So if I click on the image and do insert link, I can just paste my link, and there it is. It's chapter 1 of The Giver. So week by week, then I could update this. If it's something I don't want to update, then maybe I could just program it differently. So after I do this, I would do this for as many books I want, as many websites that I would want for my classroom. So remember, every time that you're searching an object that you would like to have in the space, make sure that you're including the word transparent there. And now I'm going to look for a couch for this space. So there's many, many options here that you can choose from. I'm going to select this one. And there's a couple things you can do with objects as well. It's not limitless, unfortunately, but there are some options. So for example, if I'm looking at this couch, maybe the color doesn't really work with my space. Maybe now that I put it in the space, I'm realizing, you know, I don't want it to be over here because it kind of blocks this plant. Maybe I want it to be over here. So if I right click and do format options, there are some options here for me. So I can flip, which will rotate it there. So now I can slide it over here. Okay, and then maybe I would just make sure I wouldn't have a book directly behind this couch. But then I can also...
Oops. What happened?
Right click, and I love this plant. I always want this plant.
Sorry.
Actually taught me, which is really helpful, is if I have a space that I know I'm never going to change certain elements within the space. So for example, I'm never going to want to get rid of this whiteboard. That's just my personal opinion. I always want to have it there. I love this plant. I always want this plant here. I always want this bookshelf here, etc. All these elements on my screen right now are not going to be interactive with my students. Now these elements that I can click on this morning on the whiteboard itself, I do want the students to click on. However, looking at this right now, a student could click on the couch, a student could click in all these spots, and it might get confusing for them with all of these clickable items that don't have links. So something that a colleague showed me, which is very helpful, is that you can save this image as a background. So then if you notice in this classroom that I have here, if I click on this plant, nothing happens. If I click on the bookshelf, nothing happens. If I click on the rug, right? The only things are going to allow me, even clicking on this date, nothing happens. The only things that are going to allow me to click on them are things that have links attached to them. So to do that, you just click File, Download, and you can download it as a JPEG or a PNG image, either way. And then when you have a blank slide here, you would just search background, choose image, and I would upload that image that I already have saved. So here's my virtual Bitmoji classroom that I had saved. So now that I do this, again, notice nothing is clickable on this page, but then if I want to start adding these elements in, I can do that, and it's not going to be distracting then for my students with all these extra objects in the space. So that is definitely helpful. This also gives me a template, so if I want to change this from week to week, and I want my Bitmoji person to be in a different spot, maybe I want different books on the bookshelf, and I want to mix things up for my students so that they're not just seeing the same thing each time and they're excited to check it to see what's different. I have this template. I don't have to start from scratch. I can have the same border, the same rug, whatever elements that I want. Maybe I don't want the couch every week. I would just save this background so that it's easy. I don't have to recreate these few elements every week. And then I would just add different books to my bookshelf or items around the room. So as you can see, limitless options here and possibilities for using Bitmoji to create this virtual classroom to whatever the needs are of your students, to whatever grade level you would like. And also, I will put the link to this in the description down below, but there's other videos out there of teachers that are creating banners for their Google Classroom pages, and you can make them like this one that is animated.
Stop. Okay. So this is a classroom that I created, and as you can see, everything in here is mostly able to, you can click on it. So I tried to make it so it was more user-friendly to what our type of classrooms. So I tried to keep it pretty clean, but accessible. So this would be stuff for parents. So if they wanted to click on the announcement for the week, they could. And they could read whatever I was going to say that it's going to happen for the week that they needed to know. Our weekly schedule that is everybody, that goes to everyone, could be posted on your Google Classroom and they could see the weekly schedule that way. Also an information center if they needed to know how to get a hold of you or any pertinent information to what you needed them to know. Also, just some fun things, just like she showed, there's some book links that are here that go directly to maybe some stories that they could read. There's also this abacus. Oops. Okay, this is not. Anyways, there's links that would give them math ideas. If you click on the clock, then there's time activities. If you click on the moon sand on the bookcase, that goes to sensory activities. And then obviously the art would go to art ideas if you wanted to give them some things to do other than what was on your weekly schedule. Okay. I am going to come back here and try this again. Nope. Okay, so what would be helpful information that you would think? Is this something that you guys could use in your classroom? And do you guys have any ideas that you would want to put on your Bitmoji classroom that would be helpful for parents?
Amy?
Yes.
So we could, we could just, well, no, because if it's a group room, we couldn't attach individual weekly schedules to it. So it wouldn't be a good, right?
You can do it. You can make a classroom that is shared with everyone, or you can make a classroom that's that's individualized for each student.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how to incorporate the individual schedule into this rather than having to do the individual schedule and this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, almost like Craig. So you could have like a template, so you could use that universally, the classroom for all students, but then have an individualized setup. So it's every time they go to like my schedule, it'd be all their weekly independent learning plans and stuff. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, sorry to jump on, but one of the things that I think I really like about it, one of the things that I've really liked is Symbaloo, just because I feel like it's really easy to get to and find things. And I think this is really user-friendly for parents to be able to find items really easily. So it almost seems like a parent would be able to find things easier than the links that we send them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I agree that the individual plans, you can't put them individually, Craig, but maybe you would have to do a Bitmoji, a singular one, but you could have a template like Ian's saying and just have an individual plan link. So
Right.
You might have to update each one, which is a little bit more work, but at the same time, I think it probably is worth it.
Well, if you did this for the whole class, then you could still just email the individual weekly schedules like we have been doing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to do web pages for each kid, right?
Well, and one thing, Amy and I, when we were working on this, we played around with that and doing it individually.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing is when there's a way that you can publish the slide to the web, and then we're going to show you, or Amy's going to show you Google Classroom and setting that up individually. So once you have everything set up, like if you created just a basic class template and then a folder for each student, then you could just update that link in each student's folder and it would automatically push it to Google Classroom. So you would just be updating the individual plan and the link. So
thanks.
It's a little bit of front loading, but once it's created, it will go a lot more smoothly, I think.
Okay, thank you.
And here, this one's a little busy for my taste, but this shows you how maybe you could incorporate student-specific goals, like she's got subtizing, counting, sight words, things like that, if you wanted your student just specifically to work on. So this would be just a page for them, not for the whole class. So this is an example of a life skills. And I thought this was so creative. And I think that there's so many out of these already created that you could just upload into your Google Classroom or your individual plans or weekly plans. But I think that we could create them as a group and then and share them with teachers, or, you know, everybody could share them and have like a library of things like this. So I wanted to show this video just to give you an idea of how this could be used.
Hi guys, it is Teacher Brett, and I just wanted to hop on here real quick and show you something that I've been working on. A lot of you have seen the big Bitmoji craze and making Bitmoji classrooms, but I wanted to show you how you can make this work for a life skills classroom, especially if you're doing stuff virtually or if you just want to give them something to kind of work on independently. I have made a Bitmoji life skills activity here. So I've got a kitchen with some things that are wrong in the kitchen, things we need to clean up or things we need to do. And I can do a more detailed on how I made this, but I just want to kind of give you a quick show. I have a link for this. It's free down there at the bottom. If you want to use this, you can copy it onto your Google Slides and just change out your Bitmoji. But you'll see here different things that they can click on. So we have dirty dishes. We need to clean those up. If they click on the dirty dishes, it takes them to this page. Yes, we need to wash the dishes. What soap should I use? Now they have to click the correct soap to use the dishes. Obviously, if they click hand soap or the laundry soap, nothing's going to happen. So we want them to click the Dawn soap, and that will be correct. And then they can click the arrow to go back to the kitchen. Same thing with the milk. They have to choose where to put it in the refrigerator or the freezer. We want to put it in the refrigerator. Spaghetti sauce, we need to clean that up. Which product should we use? We want to use the regular all-purpose cleaner, not the toilet bowl or the window cleaner. We've got trash. They need to pick recycling or regular trash bin. And then we have a pile of dirt here, and they need to choose what they would use to clean that up with. So we would use a dustpan. So it's just a quick, simple room, kind of self-checking thing that they can do. If you're interested in getting a free copy of that, just click the link below, and please give me a like or a subscribe as a thank you for all of my efforts. And if you want to get notified of more great things, I'll be trying to put different things I'm doing up here for you guys.
Okay, so as you can see, you could do actually a lot of things with that. So what do you guys have ideas of what lessons could be created for students to develop their skills? Anyone?
Amy?
Yeah.
So if I had, let's say I had created a PowerPoint for loading the dishwasher, and it has a task analysis and everything associated with it. Can I attach, so when I create like the broom, can I attach, instead of it going just to a single Google slide, can I have that link take them to the PowerPoint that I have created?
Yeah, I believe so. You can do videos, PowerPoints. It's pretty much however you want to set it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
anything you can link.
Yeah, so if you wanted to do dishwasher and go directly to your PowerPoint, it would do that.
Okay, because I think I might have been mentioning to you, so to accomplish the IEP goals in the home, what we've done is divided the students' homes up into basically stations. So if you could create like a living room station, bedroom station, and in this case, a kitchen station, and then have, you know, the washing machine be, if you clicked on that, be a link to the PowerPoint on how to load the dishwasher with someone, that would be extremely useful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think this is a really fun, engaging way. I mean, everybody loves a Bitmoji, so so I just think it's a great way just to learn skills and have links attached that they can click on and be more interactive.
And Amy, Bitmoji Classroom is a Google extension?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. And then on to Google Classroom. So like I said, there is a way to link unique lessons into Google Classroom, which I was really happy. So I mean, it looks like, I'm not sure how many people were using Google Classroom last year, but I believe this is an approved platform to use. So you can push out your information, your assignments, you can do it as a whole group, or you can do it for individual students. So I just like that it's one platform, easy for parents to log on to and get the information that they need. I believe you guys probably went through sessions about how to create this. There's a million Google tutorials on how to do it. But I just wanted to show you that this is an option. And then I have, let me see how to. So I created just my own Google Classroom, and I invited, so I've got a couple of students in my class here, Tasha being one of them. And so I can create classwork, and I can create an assignment here. And then I can either do all students, or I can select exactly who I want to get that assignment. So you could do this with your individual plans. You could do that with anything you needed to send out specifically to students.
Amy, do you have the, can you go to the classroom, the functional skills one that we did?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you look at, and if you click on classwork, you could create topics, or each of your students could be a topic, and then that would put all of you could organize their assignments and their work that way. And so you can see I had Amy add as a student in my sample classroom, and then I linked her like an assignment, a flip grid, and then I think where it says Amy's classroom, I think that we put a Bitmoji there, didn't we? Go to view material. Yeah. So this was a Bitmoji that I did to, and it was not clean or pretty or anything. It wasn't finished, but just to play around with this idea, that was published to the web. So that could be Amy's Bitmoji with a link for her individual plan, and it would be accessed through Classroom and just updated every day or every week or however often you need to do that. But each student and family would have a central location to go for that. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, I just don't know. How many of you guys are using Google Classroom?
I haven't used it yet.
I used it for my son to turn in his work.
So I did too, and it seemed like it was pretty easy for as a parent to navigate, and that's why I liked it.
I went through all of that at the end of the spring semester with Brian. And it just, for what we needed to accomplish in summer school, it wasn't, feasible at that point, but we're planning on using it now.
Okay.
It's a game changer, specifically because you can do individualized in small groups. So you can post an assignment just to one student. So that's where that platform for the individualized work is really helpful. But then you can also have like a resource center or links that all students can access. So even if if you didn't want to do the Bitmoji thing and you just wanted to have a doc with your calendar and your contact information on it for all families, you could put it in there, and then they have one place to go for everything, which simplifies it for parents.
Okay.
I have a question for you. I went to the Chrome Web Store and typed in Bitmoji Classroom, and it didn't come up. How do you find it?
Oh, it's just Bitmoji. It's
Bitmoji.
just the Bitmoji extension, and you have to create it on your phone first, I think. But you can set up an account, but to create the actual Bitmoji, you have to download the app on your phone, and then you'll connect the account through the Chrome Web Store, through the extension.
Okay. Okay, so you have to remember your password if you set it up a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so Screencast-O-Matic. I know a lot of people were using Screencastify, but my understanding is Screencast-O-Matic has some more tools that are a little user-friendly, especially for our interpreters, I believe. So this is
Yeah, that's correct. So we're just, sorry, Amy, we're looking to purchase the extended version. Patience is a little bit of a virtue right now. Things are just going to take a little bit, you know, we're going to be purchasing probably the extended thing. So I don't know if you guys would ever create videos longer than 15 minutes, but if you did, we will be looking in getting those licenses for you. So.
Okay, well, for now it is free, and it allows you to create videos for yourself, and it's just an engaging way for your students to either see a video of you or you being able to give a demonstration of what you are expecting them to do. So it's, you know, it creates that engagement piece. You can have your paraprofessionals do the videos, and, you know, sometimes they like just to see familiar faces. So this is a way to really engage your students and just build, you know, just keep that rapport going, that they can see you and actually doing the demonstration that you're expecting them to do. Boom cards. Boom cards are, I think these are amazing. So these are also another activity that you can push out, and you can find many of them that address the similar goals that we typically use with our students. So there's a ton of them. A lot of them are free. You have to filter and get the free ones first. If you decide to purchase it, then obviously you have access to a lot more. You can create your own boom cards. So they're directly linked to IEP goals. They're pretty amazing. And I know Tasha's the one that told me about them. And so I was able to use them quite a bit during ESY, and the feedback I got from students and parents, they really enjoyed the boom cards. Also about them, it tells you how long they engaged in that activity, and it also keeps data of what they got correct. So there is a data component within boom cards. So I was just going to show you a quick activity of what it looks like. So these are just where questions, and you can pick from all kinds. They've got a lot of social emotional ones that identify feelings. They've got all kinds of like different categories, math, sounding, blending, all kinds of things. But this one I thought was appropriate for our where questions. So the student just would click next. They get a question, where do you go shopping? They click on the correct one and submit. They get instant feedback as well if it's correct or not correct. I guess you have to drag it and then submit. So anyways, I just think that these are pretty fun and they're already created, and there's so many of them that you don't have to create yourself. So if I was gonna put the dirty dishes on the table and submit, it gives you another chance. So, and like I said, you can go and set this up by students. You can see what they've done and what they've completed. So this is another way of you to be able to show how much time they've participated in an activity. Okay. Does anybody have questions about boom cards? Or Tasha, do you have anything to add about how fabulous they are?
Even if you want to make them, they're very easy to make. For the free version, you get 5 decks, and you could put as many as you want in there, so you can set your student up with WH questions or whatever kind of questions you want to do. for the entire week and encourage parents to do 5 to 10 slides a day. And it'll track it for each day, how much time they spent on it, and you'll get your overall data. But super easy to make, just pretty much drag and copy and pasting. And kids seem to really like it and were engaged with it. And they like the fun things of that they got it right or wrong, whichever thing they prefer, which you could turn off as well.
Cool. Okay. The next part is talking about accessibility. Especially, I mean, when we set up those parent conversations, we're doing it weekly. Hopefully you're setting up a regular time. You're finding out the best mode of communication for parents, whether it, you know, I know there's a Google Voice. I tried it out and I couldn't get it to work on my end, but there's a way that you can create it so you can give out a number that's not your personal number, but it will go through your phone. So a way to connect with parents. Hopefully if you are interested in that, I can find out some more information. I just couldn't get it to work for myself enough to be able to talk about it. So, but I have heard other people be able to use that. Whether you're doing a team meeting with your parents or whatever, just to figure out what kind of equipment they do have, and if they do have the equipment, maybe they were sent home a Chromebook. Do they even know how to use that Chromebook? Do they have internet accessibility? You know, how good is their internet to be able to launch all of these activities you want them to do? So it's important to make sure that you're really listening to parents of what their needs are and that the expectations that they're even able to do these assignments with what they're given. And then connecting with families. It's really important for us just to be able to set up those regular meetings and really listen to the parents. I found when I did my weekly check-ins with families, a lot of times they just needed someone to vent to, because this is not easy what we're asking them to do. And sometimes you do need to play the role of the counselor and problem solve with them of how to get their student engaged and to engage with what you're doing and work out some behavior issues that they're having. So just being there as a support for the parent, and then also having them participate in how you develop these lessons is really important. So not just pushing out them, but maybe, you know, these are the IEP areas, how can we fit these IEP goals into your regular daily routine to make it less stressful, more engaging for the student, easier for the parent to actually implement. All of those things are really important to be able to connect with families and have them part of the process. The next thing is the onboarding. This is a great resource of just a bunch of different tutorials that you can use to give to parents. There's a section for teachers and educators, and then there's also one for parents that you can give them that they can on their own time get more familiar with all of these platforms that we're expecting them to do. So I wanted just to take a minute and have you look at this onboard resource that was put together and just kind of check it out. So Bryce, if you could put that in the chat. There should be a link and I'll share it as well. But as you can see, there is a ton of stuff. So this is the student and parent tutorials. And then if you click here, you can go to the teacher. But for now, let's just focus on the parent one. But there is just an abundance of information on here. And you can direct parents to maybe there's something specific that you want to give some parent training about of how to do. So anyways, I just want to give probably maybe 5 minutes for us just to look at these and maybe find something that you think would be applicable to help parents with for engaging their student or with any kind of technical issues that they may have. So were you guys able to get the link?
Should be in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Amy,
Yes.
okay, under Chromebook,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's somewhere else, is there a link for parents that basically would say like how to find my student's email and password? Is that part of a different part?
I
Because
don't know.
that's mostly parents call me and say, what's my student's email for Google, Google, and what's their password? And
That
I don't know.
be something that is just on your Google Classroom that goes to each individual student that has, here's your student information.
Okay.
Yeah, if you had that as like an individual document in Google Classroom, you could just do a doc that each family could access. So as long as they could get to Classroom, or have them screenshot it and print it out, or take a picture with their phone.
Yeah, because there's a how to log on Google Drive, but not a password. Like
Yeah, well, I think in that how to log on, okay, I think that would cover it. Not Drive, but how to log on to my, all right.
That has a lot of really great,
Now this is like a clearinghouse, Amy.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's
Where'd
a lot.
you find
Sarah, where did you find that?
that?
I don't even remember now. I just saw it and snagged it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could use this. So
For sure.
Yeah, under the credit versions, it looks like it was a huge group effort. So
Yeah,
thank you to all those strangers listed up there.
that one's worth putting on your drive to find in the future.
Yeah, good
Mhm.
resource.
Mhm.
Good. Okay, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so progress monitoring. I know this has been a pretty big issue with how are we going to capture information and data collection on for our IEP goals and assess students. So the data collection on IEP goals, I mean, if we could still use whatever you had created in your classroom that was working for you, so you don't have to recreate the wheel of how you're going to collect the data. I think that would be the most beneficial, and just try to adapt it for the distance learning. A lot of this is going to be observational data. So when you are on those class meetings or the one-on-ones with your students is really checking in and seeing what they're able to do when you're on Teams, and the other one is parent feedback. Hopefully we can model for parents to show exactly what we want to get to how to assess our students and implement that lesson so we do get good feedback from them. But I mean, that's going to be kind of the best that we can do, is relying on what they're saying their student is participating on. We do have a couple of tools that'll help with progress monitoring. One is Flipgrid. So this is a way to show a video, demonstrate what you wanted them to do, and then they can video their student doing the activity, so you can see, so you can be able to use that observational data for your data collection. I mean, I think this is going to be a useful tool for collecting data, and also parents can watch what the expectation is, and then they can video them when the student is ready to do that task.
Can I chime in? My
Yeah.
daughter's kindergarten class used this last year. Has anybody used Flipgrid? My daughter's kindergarten class used it last year. It's super easy. And it's really, really, really effective to just get video recordings back and forth. And so I think this is an amazing tool for you to be able to get data on your student. And so I would highly recommend you look at Flipgrid to just have, and even in conjunction with your behaviorist team. I'll talk to the behaviorist about it. But if a student's having behavior challenges and being able to work with the family on behavior, things like that, it's a great tool on being able to provide coaching for parents. I don't remember, Amy, do you remember if there's a length of video? I don't remember if there is.
I think it's 15 minutes is what I saw.
Okay. It's really, really, really good. So,
yeah, you can, I thought that you can set it anywhere from like 30 seconds to 10 minutes or something.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Okay. And then just to go through this, you're going to have to set up your Flipgrid, but then you have to have the parent sign on to their phone and get the app. Is that right, Sarah?
Yeah, they can access it through computer or from their phone. The app is super easy. Accessing it on a computer is super easy. So really, however they want to access it, and then it syncs with your Google Classroom. So anything you create, you can just push it right out to the individual student, and it saves you some steps too on that end.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so this looks like, I would think that this would be one of the #1 tools to use for data collection.
The one thing that I would say is that it's designed to build community. No, it's a free app. I don't think that there's I don't think that they charge for it on any level. Maybe they do now, but I've used it for years and I've never paid for it. But it's designed to build community, and so I've contacted the company a little bit just because confidentiality is a concern, and if you're using it to track individual student goals, you obviously don't want a whole class going on and viewing the grid. So what you would probably want to do would be to set up a grid for each of your students and then give them their own login, and then that way everything on that grid is just between the student and family and you. So it's not something that the whole class can go in and see.
I agree.
Yeah. But then you can push out a video to everyone though too, right?
You could theoretically make a whole class grid if you wanted to use it as a community building tool and have everybody use that grid. And then if you wanted to do like a daily check-in, like, what are you excited about today? Or how are you feeling? then they could record themselves and they could see each other. But if you're using it for goal monitoring, then I would make individual grids for students.
Right. Good point. Okay, so yeah, I just created one. You just have to give the link to the student and then they're able to access your video and then answer back. But it looks like there's several ways you can be able to do it, through email or the link. But it seems to be pretty user-friendly. So I think you guys could probably do your flip grid on your own time. I don't know if we want to take time to create a flip grid now. But if you have any issues, you can definitely, there's so many different tutorials online about how to use it. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I wanted to show you some different ways that you could do it. There's a handwriting example let me just click and show you.
It's time to practice writing the last letter in the alphabet, Z. We're going to make a capital Z right now. We're going to start at the top, go across, slide back down to the bottom, and then go across again. Let's start at the top, go across, slide down all the way to the bottom, and go across again. It makes a zigzag.
So that's an example of how you can demonstrate a lesson. Also, this one I thought was pretty good too. Maybe. Okay, this one does not want to play.
Hi, it's Ms. Guzman here. I have a really quick short activity for you to do just in case you don't want to do Matt and Molly. So this one is, I want you to think of 5 things that are always green, and then I want you to use a big sentence with one of those items that you have named that are always green. And I want you to use your good speech and language skills and make sure that your one sentence either describes the item that is green or tells me about the item that is green. For example, if I had named 5 items that are always green and one of my items was a green marker, I would pick that one because that's the one I want to talk about. And then I would use a big sentence to tell you about my green marker. Okay? So that's all.
Okay, so that's just an example of how you could show a video of you demonstrating what you want them to do. So, so that is ways to use Flipgrid. Next. Oops, I don't want to.
In this video series about how to.
Stop. Okay, the next one is whiteboard.fi. So this is a way that you can assess for students that, if we have students that are writers or typers, or you want to assess their spelling or do assessments if they can, when we're doing the Brigance and they need to draw a picture of themselves or make a mark on the board. This is a good way that you can show a student what's on your whiteboard, and then you can also see what's on their whiteboard. Oops, where is it? Here, this one. Here's an example.
So this morning I went to whiteboard.fi. I clicked on create class. So I already have one. That's why it says resume. And I'm able to draw on my whiteboard. And then I shared the whiteboard.fi code. So then the students can join the class with the code. And I go to my class tab over here. And I can see students drawing and writing. Actually just tweeted this out and said, hey, help me test this out. So it's some random things. But it looks like it refreshes every few seconds, and just a quick way for me to see what everybody is drawing. I know there's no way for the students to see each other's. This is just they can see my whiteboard. I can change the color and draw. So a quick sketch. I can clear it. And then if I come up here to the settings cog, I can clear everybody's whiteboard. So I can have the students like sketch, draw me something, and then clear it, and I can ask them another question. So I think this would be really great for when you're chatting with students, not face-to-face, or even if they are face-to-face with a device, that I can just see everybody's sketch. There's no download option. This is just a really basic, quick whiteboard, like kids holding up whiteboards in class. We don't save it, they erase it. And I think it's pretty much exactly that.
Okay, so again, for those students that are practicing writing their names or anything, I think this is a great way to assess what their writing skills are. So that is it. Does anybody have any questions about stuff that we covered?
No.
No. Okay, then that's all that I have. And then we could just list the chat in the chat, the exit survey. And then hopefully you guys go out and try these tools and play with them, and hopefully you can adapt them for your lessons. And if you come across any problems, just get a hold of me, and I'll probably get a hold of Sarah.
All right. Thank you, Amy.
Okay, thank you.